Hi guys, today we're going to talk about incubators and accelerators and what are the differences between the two. And the reason is these two type of players, these two type of entities are very important for any startup ecosystem. You probably have heard about them before, but their purpose and the kind of services they can offer to you as an entrepreneur in a startup ecosystem are very different. So in order to exploit them and leverage them at the best of what they can offer, it's important that you know what is the right time to engage with them, right? So let me start by giving a definition, a broad definition of incubator. As the name suggests, incubators are companies that will help starting entrepreneurs, idea stage entrepreneurs, other type of startups to develop their concept and get them ready to become a business, basically. And they do this by providing a wide range of services that can range from facilities, access to technologies, access to knowledge, even access to capital in some cases, and most importantly, mentoring and network, right? Accelerators, on the other hand, are a cohort-based, fixed-term type of program with the specific purpose of having the company ready to raise capital, usually the first capital that the company receives. So we're talking about seed ranging from $100,000 to can even be in the region of millions. So I want to walk you through the differences, first of all, of these two type of entities, and then also the things that are similar between the two of them, and give some tips on what to choose and when for your company. So let's start from the differences, because I think this is the best way to quickly understand what they are, right? So let's start by saying that incubators do not usually take equity in your company. So they offer you a wide range of services, as I'm going to explain in a bit, but they do not expect necessarily anything in return. And the reason is they are funded by governments usually, or other entities whose purpose is not necessarily the short-term profit or even the mid-term profit, but rather boosting and promoting innovation and technology advancement, right? On the other hand, accelerators do take an equity stake in your company. That depends on the type of program. There are different ranges, can go from 2% to 10%, it really depends. But they are also, in general, more selective and strict in the way they do the application process, right? They usually pick in between 10 to a maximum 15 companies per program, and they focus on those for a fixed period, usually 3 months, right? For that kind of service, they they ask in return equity, because their business model is to diversify their portfolio in a way that an investment firm, like a VC firm, once there's going to be an exit, they're also going to benefit of the capital gains. Incubators do not do that. Another key difference is that accelerators have fixed terms. So they are organized in programs of 3 months usually. Can be up to 6 months, but the average I would say is 3 months, because they do 2 batches or 2 programs per year, the fall and the spring one, and in between they use the rest of the months to do the selection for the next batch, right? So they're very like time oriented. Incubators usually are not. If you enter an incubator, you could expect to be part of the community or the network for a minimum of 1 year to even 5 years. It really depends on the type, but they're not as short-term oriented as accelerators. Another key difference between accelerators and incubators are, and also has an impact of course on the purpose they have, is the type of investors, the type of capital that they receive, right, to run their programs to help startups in the way they do, right? So in the perspective of incubators, they usually are funded by governments, maybe universities, regional funds. It can be like a lot of different players, but usually that are not necessarily for profit, but rather they're putting the capital, even foundations, I forgot to mention that. But usually they're putting aside the capital to promote innovation, entrepreneurship. So with a really long-term goal of, just helping the local economy, right? Accelerators, on the other hand, they can be financed by corporate, can be financed by private investors, can be financed by uh, even angels, private individuals, but they are much more for profit, and that's why they also take equity stake in your company, right? They want to work as a sort of investor, but investing, let's say, in a wider range, so being more like at earlier stage, so before the company actually gets to the point of being appealing for investment funds or VC firms. Finally, the other most important difference that I would like to stress is that incubators may also provide you access to facilities and technology labs that are very, very specific for your type of business. Think about clean tech, uh, health tech, can be biomedic, these kind of things. Uh, so usually they give you access to something that in the private market is extremely expensive based on R&D, and that very, very few very few companies at that stage can afford, right? That's why also the type of investors are more like universities and these kind of players that preserve like the field of R&D and make this available to entrepreneurs, ambitious individuals with ideas that can help the state of the technology to go further. Accelerators, on the other hand, they do provide you with facilities, but they are merely working facilities or offices, because their purpose is very short term. I'm talking about 3 months or 3 to 6 months of the program, right? And they assume that if they selected you to be part of the accelerator, you are looking for capital because you're ready to look for capital. So you have done already the R&D part to develop your product, service, whatever it is, right? So they do not specialize in offering access to specific type of technology like incubators can do. What are the things they have in common? First of all, as I mentioned already in the other examples, they offer you access to working facilities in the form of offices. First of all, in the case of incubators, also can be technology labs, etc., etc. Uh, but they do want you to be in local, right? They want to aggregate the companies that they're serving to create a community, and also leverage that community, with the resources they can put at your service, right? Because it's much easier if you are in a certain location than if you are from remote. I would be actually quite suspicious if an incubator slash accelerator asks you or says that it's from remote. Usually, it's not as good. The kind of positive externalities of aggregating, inspiring individuals in one location are simply not there. They disappear, right? So facilities, they both offer them different types in the city, outside the city, whatever, but they usually give you a space where you can work with your company, your team. The second aspect is that they tend to offer capital. In the case of accelerators, they usually always offer some kind of cash combined with the services, that is the office facilities, or and another type of payment in kind, if you want, for the equity they take. Incubators usually focus on offering aggregated or affiliated services, like, I don't know, web service, etc., that you would have to pay on the market, but you don't, so they cannot cover the cost. But it can also be the case that they offer you with straight and simple cash. I would say it's the minority of the cases, but it can well be. And the final and most important thing that they both offer is access to their network, access to their community, the ecosystem, mentoring. This is very, very powerful, especially when you are starting entrepreneur, maybe first-time entrepreneur. You do not have the network to get in contact with investors, with potential employees, potential co-founders. By being in, by entering the community, of course, you can get access to all of this, and it's, I have to say, a great experience for any starting entrepreneur. It's very, very exciting, and it also helps you to think about the future with an innovative mind, with very flexible ideas that otherwise, if you would be like just in your office, somewhere in the middle of the city, surrounded by corporate, you wouldn't have, right? Okay, so now I think it's more clear what is what, right? So my recommendation is that if you are an early stage company not ready to raise capital yet because simply the product is not there or is not complete, the team is not there, you can approach incubators. You can select the type of incubator based on your type of business, clean tech, business to business, whatever it is, and you know, make full take full advantage of the services they can offer you to get your company off the ground and then get to the point where you can raise capital or, even better, just getting customers, right? If you are, on the other hand, in the process of, spinning up your company and you really need just to, the network to raise capital, then accelerators are a very valid alternative to just do that by yourself. And I have to say, usually the success rate of companies after an accelerator program in terms of raising capital is quite high, in the region of 80%. It really depends on the program. I mean, if you are in Y Combinator, it's 100%, and we're talking about like millions of funding. But that's their business model, right? They want their companies to be able to be ready to raise capital, and they provide you with a network for that. So they have all the incentives to do that with you and to make sure that you're ready for that. The final remark that I have about this is that incubator and accelerators are becoming quite a buzzword. Well, they have already become a buzzword. So I've noticed and I've been approached by companies offering me to be part of their innovation program or accelerator incubator program, which is nothing else that their services just a discounted price because they want to kind of lock yourself into their network of customers with a discount, and then hoping that you're going to grow and turn into a customer paying normal fare. Those are not incubators, nor accelerators. Those are simply marketing gigs, marketing hacks that I wouldn't waste a single minute to evaluate or consider as an incubator, but just as a sales offer, right? So don't get hooked up by the name. Just look at what it really is. If the features of what they're offering you is nothing of what I mentioned today, then it's not an incubator, not an accelerator, just a marketing offer. I hope this helps you, and I'll see you in the next video.